been doing a lot of climate change work, particularly in South Asia and Southeast Asia. So we have work linking with the disaster risk reduction, where we are working very closely with the governments and also with the civil society, and definitely building models at the community level to map their vulnerabilities, build their capacities, and improve their adaptive capacity to the increasing hazards. So that work is going on in 6-7 countries. So countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Myanmar, and Cambodia.
But today afternoon's presentation made some interesting points on the state of affairs in the region itself. How would you sum that up?
See, we all know that whether we look at countries like India, which has money, which has a booming economy, but now the government itself acknowledged that their input into agriculture sector has gone down. Their investment into agriculture has gone down, which has resulted clearly into less yield and less production, which has impacted the economy at the larger level. The sad part is they are still looking at agriculture only from the economy point of view. They're not looking at it from the right to food point of view, which is very important for a country like ours or for a region like us. If you look at Bangladesh, you can't just talk of agriculture as a sector. You have to look at how your right to food and your entitlement is linked with that sector. I think that understanding needs to be there, which is not there at this moment, and that's what we are working on.
But would you argue that right to food is already part of the accepted global human rights? Or?
Right to food is part of the accepted human rights. If you look at Universal Declaration of Human Rights, if you look at International Covenant on Economic and Social and Cultural Rights, it's very much there. Even the World Food Summit that happened in 1998, more than 180 governments actually emphasized on the right to food and also nutrition right. But as we all know, many of these summits and agreements remain on paper and they are not translated into policies. Unless we do that, yes, there is a good effort in India at this moment in terms of, you talk about of different kind of social security schemes. But when you look at the local level, the implementation of those schemes are not there. So I think one is to have that intent at the government level to have that welfare the role of government as welfare state. Plus, how do you use the management capabilities to implement those policies into action? I think that's very much needed at this moment.
You sounded a caution about GM crops as being redressed as climate solutions. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. With climate change, these businesses, particularly the agribusiness companies, are seeing it as a major opportunity to push some of the GM crops, which they anyways have been trying to push. What is the idea of GM crops? They are genetically modifying it in a manner in the name of increased yield. What they are doing, they are increasing the dependence of farmers on markets, which means you cannot reproduce the next crop by saving the same seeds. Every time you have to buy these seeds from market, which means a huge market for these companies and a huge dependence of farmers on these companies. And if that begins to happen, that means in the next few years and decades, we will find no seeds which can be sort of reproduced for the next crop, which means that a farmer will always be dependent on these companies, and then they will have monopoly, they will charge the price that they want. The second important thing is, with these crops, your input cost goes higher, and if your input is higher, and if you don't get that yield, we all know that the kind of irrigation we have, we all know the kind of then pesticides you have to use. So the whole agriculture system becomes very high input oriented, which means one failure can put you into debt, and that's why we see a lot of farmer suicides, who are using BT cotton or different other crops. So we need to understand that why these companies are promoting it, and climate change has given them new opportunities. So drought resistant seeds, salt resistant seeds. So there.
Thank you.